Welcome to Real Estate Radio LA. I am your host, Gil Azcarate, saving the American dream one show at a time. What's the American dream? Home ownership. Real Estate Radio LA is dedicated to real estate on the radio right here in LA. What a concept. And it's something that if you think about, there's shows about every single topic except for real estate. And you go to a party, everybody wants to tell you about their great story and how about their success stories about real estate. So we are here to share the good and the bad and the ugly of real estate. I am Gil Azcarate, been in the real estate industry for over 20 years. My mom's a real estate agent, my brother's a real estate agent, my other brother's a real estate agent, my ex-wife is a real estate agent. And we've owned our own companies, we've owned some franchises, and we've gone independent as well. And now I'm with a cloud-based company that is changing the world, and it's eXp Realty. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But today our topic is going to be insurance. It's going to be what are the biggest mistakes that people make. And I've got a very, very good friend of mine, a guy I not only love as a person, is a great businessman. Andre Mendez, welcome to the show, brother.
Gil, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for the invitation to your wonderful show. I've been listening to it a couple of times, and you're a natural. I love it.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Yeah, I know we've tried. We've tried to get you on, and now today is the reality. You are here. You're on the radio with many, many people, but just talk to me about who you are. Summarize it with me. How where were you brought up and how you got into insurance, and then we'll really break it down.
Sure, yeah. I am Andre Mendez. I'm a product of two immigrants. Mother is from Morocco and father is from Mexico, and they landed here in the San Fernando Valley to make a family, and this is where I've been ever since. Born and raised in LA. Went to El Camino High School and then got my degree from CSUN and started a business called Faculty Insurance in 2015. And here we are today, helping families and business owners.
And I was there with you when you you transitioned from another company. But weren't you with like one of the big national companies like Farmers Insurance, if I remember correctly?
For a short stint, about 6 months, I was with Farmers, and then I quickly realized that the captive world wasn't for me. So I had a friend who owned an independent agency, so I went under him as an independent and found more success in that segment in order to help family members and friends.
When you say captive, what does that mean? I know what it means, but what does it mean for our listeners?
Yeah, well, there's two business models in the insurance agency world. One is captive, so that'll be your national carriers like Farmers, State Farm, Allstate, and then there's the independent side, which is your Mercuries, your Hartford, Safeco, Travelers, and so forth. The captive segment, your hands are tied if that particular carrier doesn't offer a product or doesn't have the appetite for a particular risk. You're going to be declined. And the independent side, we have more options, so we have more solutions for a broader network of people and risks. So I'm happy to be doing it. I've grown our agency year after year, and we help a lot of people on a daily basis. And it's not so much about the money, but more so making sure we're doing right by our clients and educating them on the do's and don'ts, and being that trusted advisor.
And I was with you in that transition. You and I have known each other for how long? How long have you been? We are a part of a group called LeTip, and LeTip is a networking group. And how long have you been a part of that group?
I think 2011 is when we met.
10 years.
10 years plus. Wow, time flies.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, and I've seen that growth, and then for you to take a leap of faith and start your own company, unbelievable. So summarizing it for our listeners, Farmers sells Farmers products, and you are a broker, so you can go out and look for a company. So what happens a lot of times I see when there's a big fire, Farmers or Allstate or State Farm will say, no more new insurance, or earthquake, no more new insurance, and they cut it off. Where you can go out and find that company that's still signing up new auto policies or a fire policy or earthquake policy. Is that a good explanation?
Yeah, more options. Sometimes different locations have a higher risk. So most of those companies that you just listed are very, if you don't fit in their box, they can't help you. So being a broker, we have more resources and relationships so that we can help even the ones that are a little bit more high risk.
Right. And remember, you get referrals from these captive agents, right? Because they don't know what to do with them. They say, well, we signed this, and this, but we've got 2 policies. Will you help us with that? You get a lot of referrals from regular agents, right?
I sure do, yeah. It's definitely one of my key sources of new business, and, lenders as well. Those are the top 2 real estate or insurance agents that are captive and can't write these risks, and lenders that are looking to help their clients get the best.
Yeah, during a refi, hey, you're looking at your rate. Why don't you look at your insurance as well? That's a good point. And we say it's not about the money, and I know you. You're like me. I don't get motivated by money. I get motivated by helping people, changing lives, and just giving good advice. And I know you live that same way. But at the end of the day, a lot of people will look at insurance because we just feel like we're paying so much in so many different types of insurance that it does come down to price. And at this point, listen, right? Just give you a chance to quote it. Do they have to wait till the renewal on their house or the renewal on their car?
Definitely don't have to wait, especially if you haven't shopped in a few years. Best practices, to make sure that you're revisiting those policies for 2 reasons. One, price, which everybody gravitates to, but the more important reason is the coverage, right? Life changes, things change over the quick span of a few years, and people tend to be underinsured more often than not, especially in today's environment when we're talking property insurance, we're talking commercial buildings and residential buildings or structures. The cost of goods, the cost of labor, just since COVID has skyrocketed, and now's a great time to take a look at your replacement costs and make sure that your home, your business is properly protected.
Yeah, so if you haven't revisited that policy and really looked at it, right, you give a free evaluation. I know that. You'll look it over and say, hey, listen, my recommendation is this, this, and this. And I could probably save you some money here and there. And a lot of people just don't do it. They'll go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years and not revisit it. Imagine what prices have going through for material costs in the last year. So if you were underinsured a year ago, you are way underinsured today. You agree with that?
100%. So here in Los Angeles, we're no stranger to these wildfires, and even pre-COVID, they were finding out that these homes that were being burned to the ground were underinsured. So, they've implemented tighter restrictions. When you're writing a policy, the carriers want to make sure that you're putting the replacement cost estimator at a viable coverage. Lenders are now checking that as well, just because these assets are underinsured, and when they go up in flames and there's total loss, everybody's looking at each other like, what just happened? Mm-hmm. We don't have the proper insurance. We've been paying this for years.
And they're going to be really upset. You're going to find out the hard way. You're going to be dealing with a company you've been paying for years, and now they are going to be fighting to hold on to their money, which is really your money. What do you think the biggest mistakes let's start with homeowners, and then we're going to go to landlords. But what is the biggest mistake that you think homeowners do on insurance?
Biggest mistake would be to let it lapse. So many customers and people that I speak to, whether it's for commercial buildings or residential buildings, they just let it lapse. It's not important to them. Or sometimes people pay off their homes. They're a little bit older. They think, oh, I own it. I don't need insurance on it. And that's just the wrong way of thinking. I would say, not having it and then overvaluing price rather than the coverage, because you're going to pay all this time, and when something does happen and you don't have the proper coverage, it's going to be a real kick to the stomach, because you could have just adjusted the coverage to where it should be and paid a few dollars more a month, and you would have been just fine.
And I agree with you. A lot of people don't realize that the bank, if you've got a loan, the bank is going to make you carry insurance. And then once you pay it off and you're so excited and it just lapses because it was in your mortgage statement, it was in your mortgage bill, and they may or may not realize that they're not being covered. Their biggest asset, $700, $800, $1 million paid off, and it's not insured for fire or theft or someone that comes into your house and you have a party and the dog bites you or somebody falls and breaks their elbow. And it amazes me how often that happens. So our listeners are a little bit on the older side. They're probably plus 60, and they're paying off their houses and they're getting some equity. Especially last year, they've got a lot of equity. So tell me about a landlord. What do you think a landlord's biggest mistake is right now when it comes to insurance?
I mean, not having the proper lease is one thing, but when it comes to insurance, just making sure that you have the liability coverage, the proper liability coverage. So you have a landlord policy that gives the liability coverage for tenant-occupied. There's a difference there between the homeowner and the tenant-occupied type of liability. And then making sure that they're utilizing insured contractors when they come to work on their property, because we've seen more times than not they've let somebody on to their property to do a quick job, and somebody gets hurt on their property, and now they're being listed in a lawsuit just for the fact that they allowed somebody on their property.
They invited them in.
It happens. They invited them in. They thought it was going to be a quick tree trimming or a quick roof repair, and somebody got hurt, and now they're being dragged into it. There's so many legitimate operations out there. You just got to do a little bit of due diligence to make sure that you're inviting the proper people on your premises to do your maintenance and so forth.
And it happens all the time. You have a cleaning lady who comes in, and you're not even asking her if she's got insurance. A guy who's going to do a patchwork on your roof, and he falls off, which you and I had a similar claim, not with me, but somebody we know. And it happens more often. It happens more often than not. We're going to take a break a little bit. Do you have time to stick with us?
Sure, I'd love to.
Oh, good. Okay, good. So let's talk about after the break. I want to talk about earthquake insurance and renter's insurance, and we'll talk about being underinsured. But let's give everybody your phone number right now. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Sure, yeah, they could call our office line. It's 818-208-3049. Where you'd be greeted by our receptionist, and you can ask to speak to Andre. I'd love to talk to you.
All right, buddy. We're going to repeat that number again, but we're going to be back right after this. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Real Estate Radio LA with Andre Mendez and Gil Azcarate of eXp Realty. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio LA. I'm your host, Gil Azcarate, the Colombian Dream Team. I am from Colombia, and we speak Spanish. I forgot to tell everybody that I love my Latino friends. And I have a special guest here, Andre Mendez, who is a longtime insurance broker. So if you're just joining us now, I want you guys to take down this number. And I asked Andre, because we run the show on Saturday. So I'm going to give you his cell phone number. He gave me the okay. 818-515-7788. That's 818-515-7788. Andre, we were before the break. We were talking about the biggest mistakes that people make. And I wanted to throw in a couple of what I think is the biggest mistakes that I've seen in 20 years in real estate. Not getting earthquake insurance. Right now, what are your thoughts on that?
It's something that many people overlook. Earthquake insurance is known for being, a little too expensive, people say, or the deductible is too high. But, at the time of need, you're going to be so happy you have it, just like with any insurance.
Or you're going to be a miserable wreck, because imagine right now with the cost of goods, and now there's this massive earthquake, and everybody's looking for good contractors, which is sometimes an oxymoron. And now you've got to fight, and they're going to overcharge, because otherwise they're not going to work on your property. So you're going to get paid. If you haven't had earthquake insurance in the last 20 years, think you're lucky. You're blessed. Great. You've saved 20 years of insurance. Get it now. Call Andre. Get it now. Get a quote. We live in earthquake country, and it's cyclical. It's going to happen sooner rather than later. Agreed?
Yeah, it could happen at any time. It's not something that we like to think about, but definitely you want to make sure that you have the coverage in place before it happens, just like with anything. So
Yeah. We talk
take
about the
time,
good, the bad, and ugly. I got to tell you, I got to give you something that's worth listening to. If you do not have earthquake insurance and you have equity in your house, now if you don't have equity in your house, I don't know where you live, but if you do have equity, you are protecting you. You're not protecting the bank. You are protecting you. Get it? It's an easy call to make, so go ahead and do that. Also, one of the things I wanted to mention, we were talking about the biggest mistakes that landlords make. I do on all my tenant leases. I make the tenant get renter's insurance. And that costs what, $20-$30 a month?
Minimal, but yeah, $15 a month, and it's a huge buffer between, any negligence the tenant has and the landlord. So it's definitely recommended.
A dog bite. Now, if something gets broken into, right, and that gets covered. But I think a lot of people don't realize if you've got renter's insurance, just like your fire insurance, if you've got renter's insurance and your car gets broken into, and it happened to me, I don't know, I think I told the story one time where I was at a car wash and my car got stolen. At a car wash. My golf clubs were in there. My daughter's iPad was in there. You don't realize how much stuff you have in your car. Your auto policy doesn't cover stolen material in your car. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, your personal property comes off of your homeowner's insurance or your renter's insurance, and happens all the time where cars get, the window smashed and they walk away with some valuable stuff, and people are not insured because they decided, that they weren't going to go with the renter's insurance.
Yeah, I put it right into
$15 a month.
Yeah, I put it right into lease. Let's say it's $20 a month, but you also now, if you only had a car, and now you get a renter's insurance, now you get a multiple policy discount. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's the best way to, save on insurance is to bundle everything with one carrier and take advantage of those discounts.
Just like Flo says, bundle. And it's not going to cost you a bundle. Real quick before we run out of time, tell me a little bit about an umbrella and how that relates to real estate.
Yeah, an umbrella is probably one of the most important tools when it comes to protecting your assets. Things happen. I had a client where his wife actually hit somebody in the crosswalk. She wasn't going fast. She just wasn't paying attention. It was a little bit dark out, and she hit somebody in the crosswalk. This gentleman, he's at the end of his career, about to retire, and if he didn't have an umbrella, then he could have been in big trouble. And just having that peace of mind, it's a very economical way to have that peace of mind. Take your liability limits up to your exposures of what you truly have to lose, right? So that's the name of the game, is kind of looking at your insurance protection as an overall protection plan. So you want to make sure your homeowner's insurance is in line, your landlord's coverage for your rental property is in line, and that your auto is in line. And then you can put an umbrella over that to just strengthen that. And this is a couple $100 per million per year.
It's really not a lot of money, and I think people get confused because now you can't go from a minimum auto policy. Is it 25? Is it 250, 500 minimum, or did that go down on your auto policy?
Yeah, it's still is $250,000 per accident, $500,000 per policy.
Which is smart, right? Which is smart right away, is to get good coverage. You're actually covering you. It's called an accident for a reason, and if you are underinsuring yourself, I am telling you, that is the worst mistake you can make. Get an umbrella if you have, especially getting older. They're going to come after you. My brother was hit by an 80-year-old woman, and he was riding his bike. He's a semi-professional cyclist. They were all sure she saw him. She stopped, and then she accelerated and knocked down 3 or 4 of my buddies, right, including my brother. My brother was almost killed. This was 10 years ago. Thank God she had an umbrella policy, because at a twilight of her years, maybe she's 80 years old, it was an accident. We would have had, it was a $1.5 million claim. We would have had to go after her property. Lawyers go after the money. So what you do is give them insurance and go after the insurance money. Don't go after your equity. That's the best way I can do it. Andre, we got to wrap up a little bit because we only got a couple minutes, and then I got to sell myself.
You're good at it. Okay, well, thank you so much for having me on. I would love to be a resource to any of your listeners should they need me. The please give me a call. Love to chat. And Gil, thank you so much. I appreciate the invite.
You're the best, buddy. Say hi to your beautiful bride.
Wonderful day.
Alana, I love you.
brother.
Thank you, bro. That's Andre Mendez, 818-515-7788. Or you can send him an email, andre@facultyins.com. That's Andre, A-N-D-R-E, @faculty. If you don't know how to spell faculty, look it up. I-N-S, short for, not the Internal National Service. No, it is INS for insurance.com. Andre at facultyinsurance.com. So I am Gil Azcarate. What makes me different? Right? I want to give you some advice. I want to bring some value to your life. I work with a company called eXp Realty. It's the fastest growing cloud-based company in the world. In the world. Maybe you haven't heard of it. We're cloud-based. What does that mean? We don't have big expensive offices. That's what that means. We're not Blockbuster. Blockbuster had these huge buildings on every single corner paying huge rents. Not eXp. We're cloud-based. So if you are in Alhambra, Rosemead, Pasadena, Long Beach, Lancaster, the San Fernando Valley, I can help you. I've got cloud-based, very, very experienced agents that works with me and works with you, and you're going to get an incredible service. And I always say, don't look for a discount broker, just look for a broker who will discount. Oh, God, I just write that down, JJ. So eXp Realty, we're going to give you something different to look at. Look at the stock. I can't give you stock advice. I'm not telling you to buy it, but I'm telling you it's a great time to buy EXPI real estate. Who is the Amazon of real estate? Ask yourself that. Zillow is not buying any more homes. Zillow is running out of money. Zillow is changing their concept, but we're not. If you want to sell your house for cash, I'll give you an offer in 48 hours. If you want to do a flip your own home, I will give you the contractors and give you the money. And you flip your own home. If you want a free evaluation, call me. Gil Azcarate, 818-632-8006. That's 632-8006. Or look me up at realestateradio.la.com. That's realestateradio.la.com. I want to thank all my visitors who have been to my website and people that have invited me to their home and people that are looking at doing something different with somebody different and right here on the radio. And I am proud to be on 870 The Answer. God bless everybody. Have a wonderful week. I will talk to you guys next week. And this is Gil Azcarate, Real Estate Radio LA, signing off. And God bless you. Can you still say that in this country, JJ?
Yeah.
You still can? Good. God bless America.
Excellent.